Hello you beautiful creatures, how the devil are you? I hope you're well. If you're new here, my name is Lou, or Lucifer as my friends like to call me. By my friends I mean my Instagram account and my ever-growing army of demons. Yes, very good. I've added a new bit to the intro. It's exciting, isn't it? Most exciting. Very exciting, because we keep getting lots of subscribers, which I'm really not complaining about. It's dead good. Anyway, by the by, we're not in the bedroom today. No, we are on a road trip. We've been on a road trip, so we split it up. We were on a road trip to Manchester for an hour, and then we were on a road trip from Manchester to London for 3 hours.
Over 3 hours.
For over 3 hours. We're psychotic for Parkway Drive, no lads. They are doing a meet and greet in Kingston. They're doing it with records.
Banquet Records.
Banquet Records, that's the badger.
The same ones we met Papa with.
That's right. So we originally went with Banquet Records to go and meet Papa Amarettus the 4th. That was phenomenal. And we did the same thing basically. We drove for over 3 hours to spend about 5 minutes with him and then go back home. So we're doing the exact same thing. However, today we're doing a Q&A session with Parkway Drive, which is really exciting. It's only £12 per ticket. 15 pounds per ticket.
But that included the CD.
But that included the CD. You can also do add-ons with this kind of stuff. They do records as well, but that does increase the price, but not by much. So if you are looking to do something like this, sign up to Banquet Records and they'll send you regular updates on what they're basically hosting, which bands they're bringing over, what they're kind of going to do, whether it's going to be a meet and greet or a Q&A session. But yes, we are doing that. We're about 11 minutes away. The doors open now. It's 8 o'clock and it's going to start at 9 o'clock. We are absolutely exhausted. Gareth more so because he's driven, but he's been an absolute champ.
And what's the moral of the story?
Don't double book. I had to get my photos from a rather saucy photo shoot, which will be on another vlog. So if you want to check that out, you're more than welcome to. If you want to chuck me a bit of money as well for that, that'd be phenomenal. But yes, join us and hopefully I'll be able to film quite a bit of it. I don't know what the situation is, but fingers crossed we will be able to, and you'll be able to get some of the Parkway Drive goss before we go to see them on Saturday in Manchester. So I hope you have a horrible time in the best possible way. And this is where the Q&A is. I'm loving the church vibes. I'm loving the church vibes because it is a church. Yes, no. As far as churches go, this is a nice church, and over there is a merch stand. We've seen a couple of t-shirts, haven't we? Just not, we're not vibing them at the moment. We'll see how we feel after the Q&A, but yeah, we got here in good time. It took us about 10 minutes to get down here, but I think we're just going to grab a seat now and see what happens, yeah? Okie dokie.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening for the Parkway Drive Q&A. So, just to do a little bit of that beforehand, you know there's meant to be like an art gallery thing here this evening. That didn't make it, transit issues, but to make up for the fact that that's not really happening, Parkway Drive really kindly going to raffle off 5 pieces of artwork to everyone who's here this evening. So 500 people that receive an email with a bit of artwork to make up for the fact that that wasn't here tonight. That's nice, right? So, any fans of Parkway Drive here this evening? Anyone going to see Parkway Drive tomorrow night? Correct answer. Well, my friends, without further ado, when I say Parkway, you say Drive. Parkway! Drive! Parkway! Drive! You can do better than that, London. When I say Parkway, you say Drive. Parkway! Drive! Parkway! Drive! My friends, make a lot of noise for Winston, Ben, Jono, Luke. So let's start where this album began, because I don't know if anyone here watched the Q&A that these guys did in Germany. Amazing Q&A. Hopefully we can live up to that standard this evening. But let's start.
Controversial.
Let's start where this record began, because this record birthed in a very weird way for you guys. You never made a record in this way before because of the circumstances that were put on you by the pandemic. And Jeff, I do believe you were the driving force in basically making this project logistically come to life in the way that it did.
Well, I mean, logistically, this is the name now, for sure. Yeah. Look.
More in terms of the technological side, in terms of the tracking process involved in making and shaping a record without actually being in the studio with each other. Because there was that story, but didn't you have to fly one of the producers over that you used to working with?
We flew our producer and engineer. One was in Canada, one was in the States, and this was at the height of the lockdowns in Australia. I'm sure you've all heard we were pretty locked down over there. We couldn't get in or out, even in or out of our states. So that was a logistical nightmare and an expensive one, but one we sort of committed to, and we were lucky enough to get them into the country through quarantine. They stayed out there for 4 months, away from their families, and it was brutal for them, but they committed, and the end result was worth it, I think.
I nearly did last quarantine. One of the guys particularly said it was like being in jail, because I think they both smoke, and you were like literally in windowless hotel rooms for 2 weeks, and they couldn't smoke. They said every time food was ready, a bell would ring, and they'd run to the door.
And they were treated pretty.
Yeah.
It was like military style treatment as well.
Ration packs.
Yeah, we all to enduring that.
Jeez.
And the worst part is lockdown all stopped 2 weeks after they.
Of course. So, with writing a Parkway Drive record, how did you go about tackling not being able to be in the same room as each other at the start? And then once you were allowed to be in the same room as each other, did you notice any shifts in creativity, any shifts in tones and subject matter for the album?
We had a weird situation when we first started, which was COVID had kicked in, and it had been about 6 months in kind of thing, and our town actually got shut. Like, not only was Australia shut down, but they shut Byron itself down. So if you didn't have a Byron Bay address on your driver's license, the cops would stop you at one of the 2 words in, or like, you're not coming in. So if you were in town, it was kind of sweet. So we were actually, like, after the initial fear of everything, we just kind of started jamming together because there was no one else in town. So, yeah, us 3 here just started writing some music because we had nothing else to do. I had nothing else to do in terms of music, like, as far as we were concerned. Touring was probably never going to come back. Like, I don't know, just like, alright, let's just start writing some stuff, and it started just flying from there. But that's a really different situation to start writing a record from, rather than having been on the road for 17 years straight, and just going like tour, album, having all this stuff going on while you're writing. It would just completely different zone of like, yo, no one's in your town, you've got nothing to do, what do you want to write? That's where else started.
And in terms of the sound of Parkway Drive, one thing I noticed you talking about in the Q&A that you did in Germany was the notion of trying to write a happy Parkway Drive song, and how hard that almost is, and how you said that, the times that you have tried to write sort of slightly more upbeat sounding songs, they haven't had the same reception as a sort of more moodier, darker side of Parkway Drive. And is that something that you're still facing challenge-wise in terms of wanting to sound a little bit more upbeat, but also knowing full well that the heavy side of subject matter lends itself a bit more to the screens and the breakdowns?
Well, I mean, it's kind of just experimental. We try kind of anything that sounds good, we'll do it. We don't really have a particular template we run by. But in trying a happier, kind of sound, it just doesn't work.
Like you haven't heard those songs that we wrote, or just the riffs. Like we don't pursue those sounds. Like we've had things in like a major key or something, and like we get into the process of writing that song, and at some point we just like the melodies themselves don't resonate in the right, like in a way that seems to connect with us, and that's what it comes back to when we end up changing. Like we literally just end up changing melodies to something.
Or we just quit the song.
Or we just quit the song or something else. Like that concept is in the graveyard. But it took us a while to acknowledge that. Like because as we go, we figure out who we are, what we like doing, what we don't like doing, and at some point in time we're like, why are these melodies not working? And it was all something in a certain vein, a certain sound, and we're like, that's something which just we don't really go down anymore. Just don't really adventure in that area anymore.
Interesting, because we'll get on to how vocally you've developed on this record in just a second, but rhythmically and melodically speaking, for this section of the band, was there anything different that you did going into this record? Because I feel like a staple for Parkway Drive is big fat riffs, dirty breakdowns, that a lot of people that's what I'm here for. How hard is it to constantly be trying to find the heavy stuff in the world?
Well, the funny thing about that, I feel, is that's easy for us to write heavy, really heavy stuff. Like, sometimes you see comments where people say, like, oh, they've gotten softer or whatever, but, like, it's not challenging to write really heavy things for us, I feel, because that's what we cut our teeth on, and that's kind of to write breakdowns like we used to. It's a photo. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's too easy in a way. And it's not, it wouldn't be the same as what we used to write anyway, but so to challenge ourselves with that, which I think most artists want to do, is to actually incorporate heaviness in a different way. And it's actually quite an interesting topic of heaviness. Like our old style of breakdowns, like metalcore style, let's say 15, 20 years ago, is quite heavy, but then you compare that with, say, like Black Sabbath, Iron Man, or something like that. That's so heavy, but in a completely different way. Or then, like a Rage Against the Machine is super heavy in a different way. So when you say heavy, there's many different types of heavy. So for us, just doing a syncopated breakdown, whatever those things, they're quite basic and they don't really challenge us, or they're not that exciting to us anymore. So we always want to stay heavy, but finding ways of doing that are actually, with melody and different kind of rhythms and syncopations and stuff that are unique, like that we haven't done before. So that was a bit of a challenge.
Interesting. So you kind of, at this stage in your career, almost find more satisfaction in the technical side of the music than you do the actual sort of like heaviness.
Just to clarify, like it's funny, some songs sound really basic, but it's almost like that's harder for us to write a basic song than like a fast technical, like heavy one, because it's just we can pump it out in days kind of thing. So.
It's relative to our journey as musicians. That's the thing. It's kind of like almost reverse engineered as musicians. Like when we used to write, it used to just be like throw everything you can into a song, literally every single thing you can, and make it as hard as possible, as fast as possible, as heavy as possible. And after you do that a whole bunch, that no longer becomes necessarily a challenge, and it's actually more of a challenge to figure out how to do less with more of an effect. And when you've got less, sometimes it's a lot harder to make something effective, which is kind of, it's a very strange concept to have in your brain. Like, do less, make it harder.
Well, on this record, it seems like you've been doing a little bit more with stuff, because I do believe this is your first foray into clean singing on a Parkway Drive record, isn't it?
Into this debate.
Yeah. And how did that make you feel? Was that a conscious decision between you and the rest of the band that you wanted to push yourself on that vocal side, or was it something that just kind of came out during the recording process?
No, it's everything we do when we're writing is just a groove.
We kind of adapt to each other.
Exactly, that's it, yeah.
You'll have an idea and it's like, I'm thinking this, or whatever this is, and then, we'll sort of
circle around one common idea for a certain song which we can't necessarily articulate ourselves without the other people in the band. But it's when the other people in the band come in and we're like, yes, that's what I was thinking, but I just didn't know how to express it with the skills that I have. Between the three of us, that kind of all comes together, and there's never really a point, for me, there's never a point where it was like, hey, by the way, guys, now I'm going to be clean singing a whole bunch, and now I want to sound like this, and everything, it just happens. Like the riff comes out, or the singing part comes out, and it kind of shapes the way we imagine that section of song, which then shapes the entire song itself, and we just roll with it. Kind of how it goes. And that goes with every single song, which leads into different sounding songs. But there's never a point when we sit down and we just like...
Yeah, but I'm just like, this is a rock album, everything's going to sound...
Yeah.
It's or metal album, whatever. It's just, songs come to us in however way they do, and we work together and somehow it works.
I think we can all universally agree it works very, very well.
Cheers.
In terms of it working very well, one thing I wanted to ask about, to repeat the story that you did tell in that German Q&A, just in case there's anyone here who didn't see that. How did Bart Simpson make his way onto the new record?
I enjoy The Simpsons. I have a Simpsons tattoo on my leg. So, yeah. I don't know, that, if you haven't figured out the Echo and Apollo reference yet, the greatest video, it's on there as well, with the just simply the Nevermore call. But for some reason, that's a very gothic song in the first place. Doing Q&A in church, which is very interesting. The entire song is about, it's sung about a character of death. But every time that Nevermore word comes around, even when I read that piece of writing, I can't help but see the Raven, the Bart Simpson Raven from 3000 Nevermore. So I'm pretty sure Ben picked that up as well when I bought the lyrics in and sung them. So yeah, I'm happy to say that it's Simpsons. But man, dude, Star Wars is in there, the Avengers is in there, Superman's in there. There's a lot of pop culture reference in this.
Where's the Avengers bit?
Hey?
Where's the Avengers bit?
Hey?
The Avengers bit?
Yeah, I am an integral.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's a separate song.
Let's go.
There's a lot in there. If anyone's interested, see how many comic characters are with into this song.
Easter eggs and Parkway Drive.
Yeah.
All that other things you love to see. Well, in terms of the new record, if it's okay with you, going from left to right, I want to ask you, what's your favourite song off the new record? Why is that your favourite song?
For me personally, Dark Still, because it's just so far outside of the realm of anything the band's ever done before, and it's just a breath of fresh air to do something new and challenge ourselves in a new realm of music, and also it's kind of the song that has raised the ceiling of what's possible with the band. And there's 2 tracks on the record that I could have said that before, but I think for me this is the one that I was doing.
Beautiful answer.
No, pretty boring to say the same thing, really. A big part of it is I get to play an acoustic guitar for a while, and not much of an acoustic guitarist, so it was a bit of a challenge and really enjoying it.
Solo.
Yeah. Mine changes all the time, depending on the mood I'm in, but probably Greatest Fear, just because as, writing music, it's fun to do something different. I know everyone likes the throwbacks of when they first start listening to band and all that, but as a musician writing and stuff, it's really fun and rewarding, to write different material. And Greatest Fear is just daring and slow for our band, because we're known for fast-paced stuff. So I probably prefer that song most, and it's a couple of fun, weird solos that I really into. So yeah, it's enjoyable for me, that song.
Great.
Mine changes a lot as well. But one probably would be Soul Bleach, because
Good reaction there.
It's just a bit more of a rhythmic-based song, more of a tempo. It's probably the most challenging one on the drums, and got more pace. And it's just kind of have fun not to play the drums. So and also I'm excited to love on that. Good to have seen the reaction on that one.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, cheers. It's too much work. It's one of the most.
It was about to open up.
Yeah, didn't see that a lot, so it's good to see.
I've said like the title track many times, but mine swings as well with depending on different listeners for it. I really like Land of the Lost because of the creation process behind it, which is cool. Because of the weird computer voice stuff in the program we did for that was just really fun to literally screw the Stephen Hawking's voice. But also, I'd say probably my second favourite is actually the last track from Heart of the Darkness, because that took I like the way the song builds, and for me, like as far as a positive, triumphant moment on the album, like that's the one for me personally, lyrically, and the way we wrote it allowed enough space to really have the force of the lyrics be expressed like in a very blunt way, and the way we were able to layer that thing up into the complete wall of sound at the end is it's another one of those moments where I'm like, I just appreciate the fact that I've been able to travel as far as musicians to be able to do that. It's just cool, so yeah.
Those are some beautiful answers right there.
Cheers.
And in terms of the lyrical content, in fact, that's one thing that I think quite a few people will be interested in hearing perspective, because I do believe that this is the chief lyricist of the band as far as where the lyrics come from. But when you hear some of the subject matter getting discussed, the words that are coming from Winston's mind, are these often feelings that are mutually felt between the band, or sometimes do you hear Winston talking about subjects like, I had no idea you were feeling that way, what was going on?
Yeah, I think the genius of Winston's lyrics, which I always really like, is so open for interpretation, and a lot of the times I'll hear him, singing the lyrics to the song and think they're really good, and then think they're like it relates to something in my life or something I really enjoy. But then I'll ask him what it's about, and it'll actually be completely different. And like, it's just a totally different brain to what I have when I was in the band. Like, if I was going to write about, a particular subject, I would be saying, this is good, but I don't like this. But he would just be like, he just gets so kind of cryptic and like, it's really.
Is it intelligent?
He's very intelligent, and also has a way with words that's not very literal. So to answer your question in a shorter way, yes, I always relate to his lyrics, but because it's not really pigeonholed into the exact topic that he's talking about, I think you can relate, and even if you can't, you want to sing along, because the catchy line's always going to be something that will be relevant to yell out.
And on a personal level, you know where his life's at, what he's going through as far as sorrows and whatever, and difficulties in life. And when you hear it in the lyrics, sometimes, like particularly on the last record, it hits a bit closer to home, some of the lyrics, and so I think we have that level of knowing depth, and that level of depth to some of the lyrics that you can appreciate.
That's so awesome in terms of like the natural brotherhood that you almost automatically feel from just listening to these guys talking.
This time around, the artist is called Kingston, and what city? Because I screwed it last time.
He's from Hamburg. But first, Winston comes up with these concepts, finds the artist, has the vision, and then we'll just say, hey, I like this guy's shit, and I'll get in touch with him and we'll see if we can make it work. And in this instance,
it's something which I can't separate now from the music. Like I said, if I think of this album, the artwork is what pops into my head as the physical manifestation of it, which is, I mean, as the people who created the sonics of it, like, I don't think you can have a higher compliment paid to you by another artist, which is really, really good.
Absolutely, each of you was probably the most challenging part of putting together this album.
This album, do you have 8 hours?
Yeah, 8 hours and several therapy sessions. Like,
This is a group therapy session. You're here with friends.
This album literally wouldn't exist. Like, in the shape and form that it does, it would not exist in this way because it's like completely unique circumstances that forged it. Like, if there's anything to ever take, like, if there's ever an event to take into account how art is created in this modern music era, it's this, because this has been the circuit breaker for every single band on this planet. Everyone is involved in a cycle of touring and producing a record and touring and producing a record, and within that comes comfort, complacency, muscle memory, imagination, and all of these sources which go into a record which will all of a sudden just bam, stopped, dead. And you have to rethink literally everything down to, can I leave my front door without something happening? And when you have a shift like that, like, it's the way you create after that is completely different. So this record ended up being created in a way that we will probably never have again. And I don't know what would have been created otherwise, but it definitely wouldn't have been this. We wouldn't have had the time, the lack of stress, the support, the breakdowns, like the opportunities that we would have done in Australia, that Jordan Dean would have been, like, who knows, there's so many elements where we're like, yeah, it definitely wouldn't happen like that. So, shit, man, what was the thing which would have been different?
Could have been a reggae record.
Next one.
Next one.
Well, I do believe that there is someone roaming the streets out there with a wireless microphone.
I hope they're inside rather than in the streets.
Roaming the corridors of the church with a wireless microphone. So if you've got a question from Parkway Drive, nice and simple in the British way, pop your hand in the air.
Get into a bass.
You ready?
So yeah, we'll start down the front. Yeah. Let's go for my man who was just straight up there. Just like,
He's got it written down and everything. You legend. Yes, that's homework.
Maybe.
Oh, pleasure. Is that literally a question? Is that the question? Yeah. No. Oh no, you're not putting one on the spot or anything. Every member of the band has a microphone.
Well, we've started announcing some festivals, for next year. That's as far as I'll go. What other festivals are there over here? Bloodstock? Download? Stand Up? Anything else? Somersphere?
It's like we lost Loucifer a few years ago, unfortunately.
Jai still wants to play Somersphere.
We're in like a European vicinity.
Bella's still going strong. Yeah, she's 12 now. Yeah, she's 12. It is,
Or us finding something that we didn't necessarily know we had that worked within the band via just something that happens. Something that happened, it was literally in Bristol, was we played Idols and Anchors on, I don't know what tour it was before Deep Blue was even out, or we'd even written Deep Blue, and the entire venue sang along to Jeff's lead, and that was the first time that actually ever happened. And we were like, what the hell are people singing along to a guitar part? And not only are they singing along, they're doing like Pennywise wobbles. It sounds like pro hymn, but like which is really what it was. So the next album when we're writing, we're like, And then that was the first iteration of that, and then the next time around we're like, well, let's just make it so it starts with the walls and that's it, and it's just lead guitar and wall, and that's what that is. So that's kind of how it came out, and that's the way everything in this band kind of rolls. Like it starts as something small, and then we kind of build on it until we find the most effective way of using it, and then we use it to the best way possible, and that kind of sets the standard, and we kind of try not to imitate that again after it.
Brilliant, thank you so much. And one last question.
Yes,
Are there rumours about Download Festival?
Who's spreading the rumours?
Your rumours.
Quite possibly, but you have to keep
Hands up for the next question.
Oh, he's just choosing. This is interesting. Blood sport. Organised chaos.
Really in the thick of it, here we go.
Why are we in the church?
It's fun, it looks good.
Looks good. We're surfing gloves in, or at least I am.
More hands.
You're cursed at the front. Yeah, front, so they're doing it.
She's next.
Right, what question would you, what question have you always wanted someone to ask you, and how would you answer it?
That's it?
Yes.
That's a good one.
Don't make us think. We didn't come here to learn and think about ourselves.
You stumped us, so you've succeeded.
Jai, you're generally the place to go to when these
What
things.
question would you love someone to ask? How you built your house?
Not that much.
Yeah, you could ask us a question about something we're all passionate about, surfing. That'd probably be a nice question, and everyone here would leave because I'm assuming no one surfs from here, so that's probably no one.
Yes! Oh, fellow surfer golf.
Shredders from Cornwall.
Respect.
Have you actually tried surfing in the UK? Have you ever given it a go?
Yeah.
No, we went to the beach in Cornwall, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we surfed, but we only had board shorts, but no wetsuits, so we didn't last very long.
And how do our waves compare?
Terrible.
Your wave's bad.
It's good about one day a year here, but I get to get over it, but we're very spoiled in Australia.
I've got a question for whoever asked that, wherever you are.
Right up the back.
Do you reckon that flightless birds get vertigo?
Back at you.
He's been looking for an answer for that this entire tour career, so there you go.
Hi. So, I don't think there's so much pressure on this question. I'm just going to disappoint. Okay, so you're a band of many, not emotional or mental breakdowns, but which breakdown would be your favourite and most fun to perform?
We've had the mental and emotional ones as well, but yeah. They weren't as fun. Favourite breakdown?
Interesting.
To play.
To play or to
To perform, to write, to...
because there's a few. I've seen a few of them on YouTube, like Parkway Drive's top 10 breakdowns, and they're kind of fun to look at because, like I was touching before, there's different kinds of heaviness. But yeah, that's a good question. I would say it's one of. I like our ones that we do that kind of continue and evolve. That's a couple of songs
But yeah, it's just got a lot of energy, and it was the first breakdown where we sort of incorporated like octaves and sort of moved it somewhere instead of it just being like in, you know, the
That's a shit breakdown.
That's a great breakdown. What do you reckon?
I'm trying to think, but I reckon what we do at the end of Crush now live.
I was going to say
The
that.
chorus then now turned with that extra bit we do is now a breakdown. I don't even play that right yet. Yeah, I'm at the Crush.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
It's not new. The Crush one. Yeah, not if it is.
No, we just didn't think. It's an extended version. It's just we're like, that bit's heavy, but maybe we can make it more heavy and then make it more heavy again. So it didn't matter. That was post-record, but it lives live now.
What's yours?
I don't know, I'm trying to think. You got favourite one, Brian? What's a bass player's favourite breakdown?
The bass one was a challenge. Not a challenge, but enjoyable. Yeah, a challenge, but enjoyable for me is Absolute Power. Because it's very bass heavy and kind of technically difficult for them to play and move to. So yeah, it's fun.
For the breakdown though, the whole song.
Yeah, right.
Oh, the end breakdown. Oh yeah, that's pretty heavy, I think.
Exactly.
It goes. Does everyone know how that goes?
So, I like them all. But for me, I like when I just get to yell something and then watch like chaos. So whenever I just
Pick call.
yeah,
What's your favourite pick call then?
What's, oh God, I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, that one's. I still enjoy I still enjoy playing Dedicated because I get really pissed in the build up before that breakdown and screaming Unbreakable before that carnage is always really fun for me. If you can't tell by the stank face on my face when we're playing live, but yeah, that means a lot to me every time I get to hear that because I'm pretty proud of the fact we're still here and that breakdown goes hard according to what I see of the pit action at that point in time. Also, the bottom feeder one. The bottom feeder.
What's yours?
I'd have to agree with Ben and say Smooth.
Yeah.
I love that song. It's just so proud interactive. It's just so like the way it kind of like builds up. It's right.
Yep.
It just gives me chills. Yes, it's just the best. And I also just wanted to say like thank you so much for doing this. It's been a while. It's been a long time. So I'm sure when I got here, really appreciate it. Getting to spend time to sit in a room and just be yourselves.
Well, my head was black before. So that's a sign of things, isn't it?
I have many pictures to prove it.
Thank you very much.
Times change.
And thank you for making my reverence tour so
You're not supposed to do that. Sorry.
Oh shit, he's got 2 pages. And I'm swearing a lot. Sorry about the language. Yeah.
This is how it goes. Well, Charles, if I may, a dynamic between Jeff and Luke, actually, quite a big guitarist, obviously. You sort of touched on it earlier, Vincent, but when you guys are playing, I mean, I enjoy things quite amazing. People always think, you know, you're the lead Jeff, you're great to stand up. I mean, Luke is busted as well, let's be honest about it. Busted, sorry.
Love it, no, keep it slang. It's great.
Is mustard good or bad?
It's supposed to be busted, to be honest, mate. Yeah, does it manifest organically when you're creating a track, or is it more planned? It's basically you bounce off of each other, and inevitably create that like Parkway sound. I mean, is there a method to it, or is it?
Yeah, it's all Jeff.
The method is Jeff.
And he tells me what to play.
But to help with your question though, Luke's superpower is in the studio. He's got a really good one hand. So.
It's not hearing it, but that's how
bass and we're all like, oh. And compliments go wrong. Whatever, he's really good at rhythm guitar. There you go. Can't say anything these days.
But also one other factor to it's up until was it Deep Blue Atlas. Luke used to write it. Has had a fair few riffs in there here and there. It's just later as the band's dynamics changed. He's more basically he's the manager of the band, so he's got many other things to do. And yeah, he is really good at playing and recording, but Jeff just.
Jeff's a control freak.
Jeff's a control freak.
Which is good for us.
Yeah.
Mad scientist, Jeff. Like, yeah, full mad scientist. Obsessed with his guitar.
If I may, just what was that? Winston obviously has touched on it earlier. You're obviously the lyricist of the band. Have you ever considered writing a book? And if so, what do you think it would be about?
Good question.
I don't know. Really don't know.
About lyrics?
Yeah, write a book about lyrics. I write a lot. Like I write a lot, but my I'm not quite sure how you write a book. Like for real. Like it's something I write that much that I do wonder how much is enough to put into like now you call it a book, but if you just put down my scribblings it would just be gibberish to be honest. Like so I'm not sure. Maybe at some point in time. Like I like language. I like writing, and I like part of the fun for me of being a lyricist is literally just the adventure of. Oh God, this sounds like Sesame Street. The adventure of words. But I do like it. It's fun for me to find different ways to express things and different words and the way that language resonates with people and all of those kind of things. So I just don't know any other medium of doing it other than the poetry that is lyricism at this point in time, at least. But maybe one day you'll get a story about
Production.
Yeah, it's interesting because like for us it's a lot. Oh God, I'm talking
Single story buses.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big difference.
We're at different stages in our, I'm going to say career, in terms of like how big we are as a band, which influences every level of what you do as a band. Like from the bus that you're driving in, or the van that you're driving into, the venue you play in, to the way that venue puts together a show, what you're allowed to put on the stage, how big the stage is, how long the set time is, every single part of it. The fans are awesome everywhere we go. Like that's the thing that doesn't change, and that's the thing that's always been rad. It's just we go from doing whatever we're doing on a tour like this across Europe to doing something half the size, a third of the size in the States, which completely changes the whole thing up. And the hope for us, or the goal for us, is to have it all equal everywhere, so everyone can experience the Parkway show, I guess.
Yeah, we've literally never done pyro in the States.
Yeah.
I actually bought tickets for the one that you guys had.
Oh, I'm so sorry, man.
Nah, it's all good.
We're planning to, but it's a lot of red tape and it's been a
I'm excited for Margaret though.
What's that?
I'm excited for Margaret though.
Oh, sick. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's an interesting one because like we as a band are passionate about the way we put together a show and the experience that is like what we love doing, which includes very much what you get on the stage as well as what you get on the record. So to have different versions of it going around, we kind of really want to unify that. Just because I like the experience of going, this is how we imagine things. Like this is the visual representation of those songs. Here's the entire thing, and there's a quality level for it when it's going to hit. But until then, we keep striving and just trying to get more people to listen so we can play that same thing every week.
Amazing. Who wants the next
Good question, though. Cheers, mate.
Hi, I just wanted to say to Jeff, you've been a real inspiration for guitar playing for me, and it means a lot that you're here. Picked up your signature guitar, absolutely fucking love it. It's so nice.
Should have got the Luke Patrick one.
I do need to get the Luke one as well. I need to get them together.
Sounds like my hand job.
just really thankful for the energy that Parkway fans and everyone who listens to us gives to us. We're really spoiled. Because as a musician, I know what it's like not to play to a crowd like that. I've had shows like that, and it's hard. Like, it's like, ugh, you know, I don't really want to be here. But when everyone throws this, oh my God, I'm so happy that you guys are here. Everyone's doing what you guys all do all the time. It's amazing, and that's an amazing experience. Not so much, you know, individual shows. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
And compared to what bands you really aspire to be like now? And how do you feel your albums and what songs from your albums most identify with the steps and the journey you've taken from where you were to where you are now?
Ooh, that's like a journalist question.
That's a
Professional.
I just like your music, that's all it is. Cheers, appreciate it. The best way I can sum up before giving individual references the progression of the band is so it starts off with an influence which just influences you getting into heavy music in general. So we grew up in the 90s, that's when stuff is like, you look at the heavy bands then and you've got albums dropping which are literally like worldwide holy shit moments. You've got Guns N' Roses, you've got Metallica, you've got Machine Heads, you've got Rage Against the Machines, you've got Nirvana. Like, these are things which affect the world of music, not even just heavy metal. So the concept of something being heavy and being big is completely unattainable. Like, you don't start a band like 10 years later and go, you know what, I'm going to be like that band that everyone on the planet fucking knew at some point in time. You start a band that is like something which you can relate to, which is a band that you've seen at your high school, or you've seen in a pub, or that you've seen a VHS of playing some crappy club with no lighting gig and people just jumping off a speaker stack and you're like, oh man, my mate's going to do something like that, I'll do that. You don't go, I'm going to try and write the Black Album or Appetite Changes. So that's that's basically how it starts. And for us, it was like, oh God, where did it even start? It started with American hardcore bands and metal bands and local Australian hardcore bands. There was like the Hate Breed, Dev Contempt, Green Unearth, Waiting Through.
It's funny because when we were from Australia, it's a small town, and back then when we started in 2003, or just a bit before that as well, the internet was quite new as far as how it's getting used.
No, it was before MySpace, that's the thing. It was like, we were just talking about this before, it was literally like, it was guest books on band websites, like there wasn't even social media yet, so.
But the funny part was Winston's brother, Oscar, who I became friends with how I met Winston, he was always like ahead of he knew how to like search for bands, and he would go onto like record label websites and discover these like new metalcore bands and like just like not download, I guess order them online.
Yeah, order the CD.
Order the CD would come in the mail, and be like, oh my God, there's this new band. And to us, because they're American and on a record label, it was like these big, massive bands. But then as we started touring and kind of getting to know these bands, we realised they were so obscure. Like, actually, one funny story was one of them was a friend of ours, and he said they were in a tiny band. This is Kevin in a band called Season of Fire. And we knew that band, and he said about 200 people in the world knew the band, but we somehow knew them because
somehow the town knew them.
Yeah, we would just find these obscure bands. So it's a long answer to say we would mostly, apart from Jeff who was into Metallica, most of us were into bands that were largely unknown, that weren't like mainstream bands. We kind of were into the fact that not many people knew them, and so a lot of the bands that we would be into, that were into and influenced by, wouldn't even be known. But some of the bigger ones, like the metalcore ones, like Unearth, Bleeding Through, Hate Breed.
Yeah. The thing is that, the way it evolves from that basically is we start playing that kind of music, and then we play that kind of music a lot, and then we tour with a lot of the either playing those songs so much in whatever instrument you're doing that it becomes second nature, and you want to play something slightly different and slightly challenging in whatever direction, that the style starts to shift slightly.
So we've broken the sound.
When do we get to that question? Basically, Jeff likes Metallica.
I was a nerd and everyone else was into the underground cool stuff.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Right. Next question. Have we still got the wireless mic? Yeah, we do.
That gets smited as well. Oh.
Get a position, son.
Hi guys.
Hello.
First of all, congrats on the new album. It really reignited my love for guitar playing, which I really needed. Thank you very much. I wanted to ask, so you are now with like strong image, cool visuals, you work with the same director of guitar, the same content creator. So I would like to know like how important is it for you to build this team around you, and how do you go about finding the correct people to like translate your music into photos, images, cool videos, and all that?
That's a really good question.
Could be.
How does it work?
Oh, we
Yes.
just find people that work for us. He's our creative director right here taking photos. But
We have several different ones, huh?
yeah, we just create relationships with other people, and based on the work that a lot of the time we grow together with them, and they sort of come along the journey with us, and they get better as we get bigger and that kind of stuff. But I don't know, we don't really change crew very often either. Like they stick with us and we stick with them. We give everyone chances and second chances if they fuck up. They like us. Yeah.
Shit posted movies, eh? I think we actually talked about a concept to do with this when the rollout for this whole album came, because we have worked with very similar people, or people from within our circle of friends or associates for a long time generally. And in the roll up to this album, everyone that was helping us out was doing an incredibly good job. And most of the people we could remember first working with them when they were doing something which was quite small, in a similar way to what we were doing. And it's like Luke said, as we've grown as a band, luckily these people that have worked with us have become incredibly good at what they do, and they still want to work with us as well. And it's that mutual respect through artists that has grown over the years, and the skills just kind of have all joined together when the time's right, which is really rad. Because it's cool to see friends succeed in what they do as well. Because we like seeing our crew do a good job, in not just with the band, but with everything they do outside the band as well.
And I was going to say, on top of that as well, we've noticed that passion is more important than a name. Which, basically what I'm saying is, when someone pours their heart into something and, dedicates, everything to something, it shows. And we notice that over time, and I feel like we value that over everything. So, appreciate
Correct.
it.
As a collective, as a band, if you could choose one band to tour with, what would it be?
Dead or alive? Are you talking theoretical?
Can we revive the dead for this tour?
Are you talking about current bands or in all of history?
Whatever makes you fucking happy.
Think about
Who's playing down low?
Down what?
I'm Metallica playing down low. Are they?
What do you know?
About the Beatles, you're open for them? Yeah.
Breakdowns of Beatles.
Sorry, I know you said it front. This question, I was going to get a bit, it might have dropped the mood a bit too much, so I'll change it a bit. But I wanted to say that I thought it was really cool how you guys spoke about going to band therapy. I read an article about it, it was really interesting, so I just want to know who's the driving force behind that. I don't want to know too much about the story because that might be a bit too sad.
No, it's not sad at all. It's real. It's actually, it's real. It's a good question.
And we're also proud of it. So
Yeah.
it's totally fine.
Yeah, I think it was Luke's, was the one that pulled the trigger and yo, we need someone other than us. Just, not getting each other to help us connect. So he was the one that started that. And luckily everyone was on the same page.
It was either that or we break up, basically.
Yeah, for real. And it is it's something that's it's actually really worth talking about because the reality of where we were as a band was having been best mates for 17 years, but all of a sudden you realise you're not actually best mates because you haven't done what best mates should do and figure out if everyone's actually okay and what their lives have been like doing this. And it takes a hell of a lot of patience and openness and kindness to be able to not only put yourself out there for people who have been in your personal space for all of that time and go, hey, what you've done hasn't treated me well or the way I've treated you hasn't been correct. That takes a massive, it's a big thing to do. And it's not something that's really spoken about in society in general. It's just the idea of being open and the idea of being vulnerable and also the idea of being kind is not really valued too much in society. We don't get taught that much. Good question. Cheers. Hope that.
And really just to continue on, a big part of it really, when it comes to, I think all relationships, whether it be business, friends, marriages, it's communication, and that was where we had failed because we realised over the last 5 or 10 years we were just so go that any issues came up, even if they were small ones, we just didn't talk about it and just kind of buried them to the point where the rug was so full it was overflowing, we couldn't walk anymore. So we just a few things kind of very, very evident, and we just actually had to learn how to communicate again with each other in a professional way. And in general, in a professional way, friendship way, and it solved a lot of things.
It's not.
Yeah, it's a constant thing. It's the same. It's the best analogy is a marriage. Not that I'm married, but it's a constant thing. You learn, you got to communicate along the way, and it's the same thing. We've basically been in a 5-way marriage for 19 years.
It looks like a really great right hand.
That's right. The secret to a good marriage. And then, shall we get to the last question? The last question of the evening? Okay. Keep it on.
One more song.
Would you like to go into it? Would you have seen yourselves doing it if it wasn't in music?
No.
It's hard because I don't know what do you do. Can you know your 20s or your teens? How do you earn money sitting on your mum and dad's couch?
That's it. We've joked about this a lot. We've talked about, not joked about it, just what we would be doing, and it's quite hard because for those years, we started when I was 16, and these guys were 19-ish, and the years we spent touring from those those early years, we would have been obviously doing something else. So, but like as far as what we wanted to do, I don't think anyone except for maybe Winston was academically inclined.
Sucking it.
Our town has a reputation for not being very academically driven, at least back then. It was about you finish school and then you just drop out and get a trade or go surfing. Not many people end up, going to unis. I don't think any of us, Winston was at uni, but we probably would have just, I reckon I would have been a builder. My dad's a builder. What would you have done?
Like I said, sit on my mum and dad's couch.
Video store.
Nothing.
One day owned the video store.
We didn't really get the chance to go down even thinking about those paths. I think I didn't anyway.
We don't get
because
pushed.
this just got so busy and we just work shitty jobs in between. This is fun and it turned into a...
For real as well, like the town that we come from is like, especially that period of time, the idea of a career doesn't exist in that, or didn't exist in that town. You washed dishes, you made pizza, you worked at a video store, you worked at a coffee store, and we all did one of those things, and that was, unless you owned one of those businesses, that's all there was in the town. So like...
And yes, Winston served coffee.
I served bad coffee. Yeah, awesome, good on you. So yeah, like the idea of a career, like when you do career day at school, unless you actually were planning on moving to a city somewhere, your career was, I hope I can surf as much as I can, which basically means you're just on the dog. You just surf a lot. So none of us had career in mind, which is why this is like...
In other words, we got really lucky.
Real fucking lucky, yeah.
Hell yeah. Couple more questions?
Yeah.
Couple more questions.
Michael.
If you did, I would have been appealed to you. But next year I went to Australia and I was visiting a certain area. So I'd like to know what was one of your favourite venues growing up? Like, I mean like a pub, or like a very underground with like 3 people. Like, what do you think of really growing up? So
Byron Youth Centre. Byron Youth Centre is the only venue. If you come to Byron Bay, like we played. That's the only. We played the Northern once. At the high school, but Byron Bay High School and Byron Bay Youth Centre.
Are they still building there?
No, I don't think they are.
Kind of, I think, but because we needed all ages, like, a lot of the kids, it was all underage stuff, so we didn't play pubs or anything, really.
We played a pub once, and like it was very heavily leaning to like the pubs in Byron are just basically it's entertainment for tourists to get heaven. Lovely club. Tourists. Fighting cocks, alright.
The right hand man, Mike.
But every time you drive past one, you can go there and go past the high school or the youth centre, you can go, oh, that's where it all went down.
But in general, Australia obviously being descendants from the English, but there's lots of pubs. So if you do like pubs, any little town in Australia, there might not be a restaurant, there might not be a cafe, but there's going to be a pub. So
Probably not.
necessarily.
Why not? Sydney's got some.
Yeah.
There's a few.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
That's
right.
Hell yeah. You got a question?
Yeah.
You really want to ask a question?
You can have pies, Mike.
Now watch me absolutely watch this.
Got the hand up the whole time. This is your big moment.
Okay, that's good. So, big moment. I love that we are starting on Alexandra Palace. We're in 2019 with an ended on Alexandra Palace. But I guess the only thing that's kind of overshadowing it was when I'm pretty sure all of us would have had the email from Ticketmaster that said Wembley was cancelled. Now, that would be like a real pinnacle. It would be something you could look back on for
point, we were very, very excited to play at Wembley. I think that was, out of that last tour, that was the one show, you know, it's obviously extremely iconic. So it's a bit of a bummer we're not playing at this time, but you know, Ali Pali's also a very iconic venue as well.
Or Mosh. Ali Pali. But
yeah, hopefully next tour at Wembley. But to answer your question,
This is big stuff.
what would you do?
I'm not thinking of a production.
oh, but I used to go to friends.
Fire Ready Dragon.
No, but I can remember at some point in time I was supposed to skydive into a gig.
What?
That was after doing the last year high school, we were like, alright, how do we pull this off live? Like, can you actually, like, I know people faked it, but we could actually do it, couldn't we? And I could, like, land on stage, like, right when the first beat drops, and then pyro goes off, and someone takes you and throws you away. And we're trying to figure out that for real. But I don't know if that's happening anymore, because I haven't skydived in like 5 years. So.
And you turned 40.
Then I turned 40 and I got a bad back sitting in the pub just before, so I don't know how skydiving into a stage is going to work, but you know, you got to dream large, buddy.
Yeah, it's a good one. Any ideas, Joe?
I was just thinking I could have my version of a jetpack. I could arrive.
You strap your brother to your back.
I could arrive on stage with my jetpack. Dual solo, so I'm strapped to your back, you solo, then we spin around, that's huge. Jeff. Thanks, Michael, that's fantastic.
You heard it here first.
We will promise jetpacks.
You've seen revolving stages, you haven't seen revolving numbers.
Get the first 20 tickets and get Jeff back. Sorry.
Should we do lucky last one?
Yeah.
Lucky last question then.
Our answers are getting more and more ridiculous, guys. So,
No pressure.
he's going. Where's it going to land? As many. Oh, there it is.
Thanks guys for coming out. You're my favourite bands on the stage. So I want to draw on your experience of being a band in 28 years. I play in a band and we're about to go to the studio in like a week's time or something like that. What tips do you have for preparing for something like that?
How long you got in there?
A morning. It was the cheapest option.
First, most standard one, practice and be prepared. Because, especially a morning, we've had like 4 months and we feel like we're rushed.
Goes away
First year needs one take, one this.
Yeah, well, that was the thing I realised a while ago, one of the records a while ago, because we usually have, say, 2 weeks. 2 weeks for drums is pretty common, and like 3 or 4 days would be getting sound, and then I'd do a track a day, and you play so much, and then a lot of it's, I used to be focused on being physically fit, ready to do it, but then I realised theoretically, I don't have to play each song once. If you play it perfectly the first time, you play it once. But obviously you've got to be really good for that, so I usually play it 40 times. But like, if the really good musicians will just get in and play it, and it's done. So obviously the more prepared and the more practice you are, the quicker you'll get it done.
Full album, one day.
We'll try.
Yeah.
What about you in the studio, man?
Oh, I was about to say, our biggest issue is surfing. We'd be good musicians if it wasn't for surfing. So
that's really relevant to you.
Don't
be good at surfing.
Don't play surfing much.
I know you want to be, but
yeah, don't find good hobbies. And you'll be good.
And also, another one would be, especially with the time you have, don't try and make everything perfect, because you'll never finish the record with another one firsthand. Just play a take that you're happy with, and if you're feeling it and you're in the moment, then that's the magic.
enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Thanks,
enjoy yourself, man. Like, if you've got into a studio and you're recording something, fucking awesome.
So to add some weight to that, I remember when I was recording the Karma lead in the middle of that song, I was all choked up. I was like concerned for some reason. I was sounding like it sounded terrible. And the producer at the time, Joe Bressy, was like, mate, just chill out, just enjoy yourself. Just feel it, have fun.
sorry about the abrupt kind of ending, and now that we're back at home, we're here. So we ended up, after we finished doing the Q&A, we went to McDonald's and then we drove home, and it was intense. Like, we had to stop a couple of times just because we were driving over 3 hours to get back home. And you know, Gareth did really well. He was in so much pain by the end of the drive. Like, it's a lot for us. So the fact that we kind of went there and back again, it was really intense, but we really enjoyed it nonetheless. Just a quick one, because we do this all the time. Like, we travel, we go here, there and everywhere to show you guys different things. I do actually have a buy me a coffee, so if you are interested in kind of supporting us with going out and about and showing you guys these cool things, I would really appreciate that if you could go and check it out, just because fuel prices are not fun anymore. And it would really help us. But yes, by the by, it was fantastic. It was a really fun session, really good. They all had a laugh. Everyone was in top form. We've agreed that Winston has got full-on golden retriever energy. He was really good, really enjoying himself. So it was interesting to hear all the different kind of things that were going on, you know, what really brought this current album all together, the kind of struggles and the intensities that they all went through, especially with COVID and the lockdown. I actually have relatives in Australia who they told us what it was like during the lockdown and how, you know, how intense it was with keeping everything under wraps and making sure nobody was travelling. So the fact that they were working on this whilst they couldn't travel was phenomenal. Also, they were incredibly vague about download. Now, we have been looking at a couple of the dates for next year, and they could slot into a download slot. Whether that's a headlining slot, either on the main stage or on the second stage, we don't know, but we really think that they could hit the main stage and headline a main stage. I really think they could do that. They've got the fan base, they've got, you know, they've got the show for it. Like, you could imagine them being on the main stage headlining and people really getting involved, really getting a crowd together. Yeah, I don't know. If I saw that they were headlining download next year, I wouldn't be upset about that, and I'd be more than happy to go and see them. We're actually going to go and see them tomorrow, so hopefully I'm going to get this video out to you guys today, which is the Friday before the Manchester show. So we'll see about that. Someone's sorting the bin out. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed like coming along with us. I know we really enjoyed doing it. But yeah, if you would like to support us, I do have a Patreon and I do have a buy me a coffee. So even with the buy me a coffee, like even if it's just £1, I would really appreciate that. Like, this was a lot of work. Most of the vlogs I do, they are a lot of work, especially the going out places and conventions and days out. It is a lot of work and it's a lot of editing time, but yeah, I'd really appreciate any kind of help. I don't know if we'll potentially be going to another one, at least until I can drive, I think, because I don't think Gareth can kind of do the there and back anymore, just because it really took it out of him. Yeah, so potentially we're looking next year if Banquet Records do anything extra. It also depends on the band as well. Like, if we are really invested in the band, we'll definitely go. If we're not as invested, we probably won't. But yeah, we'll see. It was good fun. We really enjoyed it. I'm also really sorry that my camera kind of flunked out halfway through it. I thought I had enough memory on it to get through the whole Q&A, but unfortunately I didn't, and it lasted about an hour and a half, which was good. Like, paying £12 for just the Q&A, and then you could get added extras with like the CD. So I got, I'll just get it for you. There we go. I'm so sorry, the lighting is awful in here. So with my ticket, I also got a CD copy. You can get a record, but it did cost a little bit more. You could also get merch from the Q&A. It was exclusive merch, so you could get a record of the current album with a limited edition kind of artwork. You could also get t-shirts as well. It was more for Gareth than it was for me, and he didn't really enjoy the design of the t-shirt, but not saying that other people wouldn't. Like, they were lovely, they just weren't his vibe, so he didn't end up buying one. So yeah, we didn't really buy anything from the Q&A, but that's okay, that's fine. Every Q&A is different, every event that Banquet Records does is different. So yeah, if you liked the sound of this, sign up with Banquet Records and you can see what their upcoming projects, events are, and you can stay in the know. But yes, I'm going to spend the day relaxing. We're potentially going to go to the gym, we'll see about that. But yeah, we got in at about 3:45 this morning. Yeah, about 4:45 this morning. So we're all over the place. But yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you've had a good day. If not, that's okay. Always remember, tomorrow's a new day. See you later, guys. Bye.